Okay, so I'm having to redo this because I accidentally deleted the footage. So this is an in-depth analysis of the trailer Breaking a Monster, which is a documentary. So we begin with the usual company names appearing at the beginning with some light music being played, which is really soft and chilling. As we hear a voiceover and non-diegetic sound of a child talking, we then get a long shot of a boy jogging up some stairs to what seems like a school. So we hear this voiceover at the start where we see the company names and logos come up, and then it turns into the long shot. At this point in the trailer, it's very relaxing and calm, so we don't really know much, but it seems pretty chilled out at the moment. After a few seconds, for a few seconds, there's a mid-range shot by a door looking into the room, where there's one child playing with his drumsticks, using his legs as the rest of the equipment, so the drums. And then the other child with glasses is laying down, pretty relaxed, slouching, with a piece of paper in his hands, reading it. So yeah, and at this point, dialogue is used by one of the children, and they say, "Met at a birthday party." When they're talking about when they met their friend, when they were 4 years old, but we don't know exactly who is talking because it's a voiceover, and you don't actually see the people speaking in the shot. You just hear a voiceover, so you aren't actually sure who is saying it to who, or like who's saying it. We then get a fade to the film festivals they were featured at, and presenting that this documentary is definitely something to watch due to the amount of festivals it's been shown at. So it does show to the audience that this has been produced at a high level, and that it's at a high quality because it's been featured at so many other festivals, that it's pretty nailed on that it will be a good documentary to actually watch. We then see homemade footage of two boys when they were younger in their band playing at home. This secondary source footage does show to the audience that there has been deep research to make the documentary to the best possibility in terms of facts. So if they didn't really do much research, it would then be a lie, and it wouldn't be real in a way, because then they'll be trying to manipulate situations and stuff like that. So by them essentially having secondary source footage, it does show that they have cared about it and they've tried to go in depth. After that, the typography at age 10, they formed a band is shown, providing context for the viewers on what they're watching, so they know what's going on. The text is plain in white blocks, at pretty large size, so it has more presence on the screen, but also it's clear and easy to read for the viewer because that's what you want. Just going back to what the actual text says, it does also make the audience more curious as well, only because you wouldn't really think that people at age 10 would make a band. Well, you would, but you wouldn't then think, oh yeah, it's going to go on to progress to be successful. We then see a series of shots of them talking to the person behind the camera and what they say. We then see them come up on screen next. For instance, when the young boy says how they pretend they're performing at these big stadiums in America, you then get a cutaway of a piece of paper on a board that has names of stadiums with dates next to them, as if they're actually going to go there and play there, which is really, it's really imaginative, and it's quite, well, not funny, but it makes you smile and laugh a bit as well as the audience, which is a good thing. We do see more cutaways of one of the boys having fun and playing around with a lightsaber. We do get a moment of a close-up shot with the lightsaber next to him, and he's smiling, showing he's really happy and that he's having a good time with his life. And it makes the audience grow affection for the young child, because it shows by even being successful at this young age, he's also having fun and have an active lifestyle. This can make the audience want to watch the film more, but well, the documentary more, um, because you see more into their life than just the music, so you understand more about them in a way. We then get a moment where you could hear background music, and as it's hitting its high note, you could tell that the beat is about to drop. And at this moment when the beat does drop, the screen goes black, and then when the beat drops, we then see the boys playing on the streets, or them with their guitars and the drums, and the music's actually coming from them. Um, so this um, so this diegetic sound is really good because it adds some more variation, but it does show that they can actually play and it isn't made up, and it does show to the audience that they are actually doing what is being said so far. That is really good and engaging as well. See that with them talking to the interviewer, there's them in one stance and the camera is slightly at an angle, so you could see their surroundings and their influences. Um, but there's no movement because otherwise the audience would once again be distracted by what's going on. They could have used um, a shot of they could have done cutaways where they went close up to the stuff in the background, showing their influences and what they've been inspired by, but they didn't do that. That's what I would have done if I'd done it, maybe. A shallow focus is used of the crowd at a festival, and where you can see the people far away in the background in focus, but the people close to the camera are out of focus. This is to make the audience realize how big of a following these children have, um, and that they will not be the only people watching the documentary. Um, but it also does show that they are going to festivals, to places where there is a large crowd and it's a well known festival, showing that they have a lot of exposure to then getting more fans. We are then presented with a lot of close up shots of them talking, and the man who decided to have faith in them as well, a lot of close up shots of him, and he was bringing them on board. Um, with this, we can clearly identify um, the raw emotions. There's one more scene where there's one scene where GoPro is used um, by one of the band members holding it, one of the young boys holding it, and he uses the dialogue, we're in LA boy," but he elongates the boy, so it sounds more energetic and more vibrant, which coincides with a teenager's um, characteristics and their energy. It does add some humor to it as well to make the audience laugh and smile. Um, this shot selection is good because it adds more variation, but also it shows that it's not professional filming, only because it seems a bit over the place and the quality wasn't at the highest as well. Um, but it does add to the fact that these are three young boys who aren't the finished article yet, so it does show that they're getting there. So the essentially that clip shows that they are able to produce the content, but they haven't reached to that level right yet where they're essentially at the highest quality, and that coincides with a high quality camera, if you understand what I mean. Looking at the rest of the trailer, it follows the same sort of pattern with some cutaways to transitions to the car window having a shallow focus, with the lights where you can see the lights in the camera mirror, with the window mirror. Cinematography is professional and at high quality since they're documenting people who are on the road, as they say, or on tour. So having professional equipment was important because they, as themselves, could go back and see how to improve. Um, I've noticed that the three boys, whenever they're in shot, it's always close. They're always close to the camera, and that's just highlighting that they are the focal point of the whole documentary, and it's all about them. Mise en scène uses high key lighting for the majority, but we do also see chiaroscuro lighting, so it adds a different contrast of emotions. The props are natural, they're natural equipment, and they're natural things. They're natural things because it's a reality. So they're documenting people's lives, so it's real. It's not gonna be fake because there'll be no point faking the documentary. So the majority is mainly music equipment, which is understandable because you see a lot in the trailer of them on tour. So it would make sense that they would have obviously their music equipment. Um, if they if they chose not to show their equipment, the audience could be confused what the documentary is actually about. There's a lot of dialogue heard in this trailer with fidelity sounds as well, with them playing the guitars. It presents a style or genre of music they produce, and it can be linked with the audience watching who would be interested in that style of music as well. Dialogue is only used because it helps tell the story, and that's obviously important for documentaries because they're trying to put across what the documentary, who the documentary is about, by the people who it's about speaking, but not giving it all away. So they leave it with a lot of cliffhangers. So you can see at one point, when one of the boys is upset, where you can hear him speaking, but because they aren't sure about if he has the right vocals, but you can see that he's pretty upset and hear him talking. And it sort of has on a cliffhanger because you aren't obviously told the whole story, and you don't know the ending of it. Um, so yeah, this is really effective and will make the audience more engaged to actually watch the rest of the trailer and actually watch the documentary. Editing wise, the trailer is styled in a montage and jump cuts with mostly quick cuts, but we do also have scenes that are longer as well. Um, this also presents the way of their music as being really intense and then energetic and not really having a moment of rest. Plus, it shows the culture of the young people that they're always on edge and always have energy, and this is shown in the trailer. Shot selection is a wide range due to things that people encounter. Um, yeah, so this is what they encounter on their journey. Um, Screen time is important for documentaries, but in all documentaries, the people who it's focused on is they always do get the most screen time anyway, and that's seen in this, and with all the young boys. A short reverse shot is used when one of the boys is getting angry and annoyed at an adult showing an adult. So with this short reverse shot, you can see their facial expressions where the young boy looks quite angry, and because it's pretty close up, you're then able to see his full emotions, and it does provide that their lives aren't always happy, and that this hasn't just been one whole success, and they're just reaching to the top gradually without no anger or no disappointment. So it does add the sense of reality as well, which is really good as well. Also, with the short reverse show, it does present that maybe the young boys feel like they're the most important thing, and they have the power out of everyone, but they don't because they're also getting angry at someone else who obviously isn't on the same track as them, and you can see that in their emotion. So this is also really effective if you look deeper into it. I say that the trailer would make me want to watch the whole documentary, and it does reveal a lot, but it hides quite key parts to make you as an audience engaged. Because I also had to tell you quite a lot, because otherwise it leaves it open ended on what it's about. So for a documentary trailer, you have to sort of reveal a bit, but not reveal all of it. If you understand what I mean. it definitely hits the target audience of music genre of rock really well, with sound and props. So yeah, overall I think it was a good trailer.